Hi guys, today I want to talk about my Peutz-Jeghers syndrome, PJS, and my cancer diagnosis. Um, I'm trying to make a little bit of a series here where I share my experiences with living with PJS, and this is one of them. So I've had 4 bowel resections total, all relating to PJS and polyp removal, problematic intestinal areas where they've removed intestine. And I've had over 10 feet of intestine removed so far. And my last surgery was 2006, so it's been 13 years, going on 13 years. And I had my last 2 surgeries pretty much back to back. The doctors did my 3rd bowel resection, left a section of intestine in there that was kind of questionable. They thought it might make it. It went bad right away, and so I had to go in almost immediately after my surgery and have that taken out. So yeah, two bowel resections pretty much back to back, in a short amount of time. It might have been about a month, maybe, that in between. And I can't remember which surgery it was, but during the process and everything, I was diagnosed with stage 2 colon cancer. And most people, well, everybody reacts to life situations like that in their own way. And I don't react very much at all to anything. I take everything with a grain of salt. I don't let 99% of life get to me. I just kind of let it roll off my shoulders or off my back, so to speak. And so, I'm sorry, I was yawning. When I got the news, it was very matter of fact. The doctor came in, one of my gastroenterologists came in, and when I was in the hospital, and he says I have, sorry, oh my gosh, I apologize. He says I have colon cancer, stage 2. And I don't think I batted an eye. It didn't bother me one bit. It seems weird to say. Some people might take that news and totally go in the opposite direction, but it didn't bother me one bit. I mean, I understand the gravity of the situation, cancer, and everything like that, but it didn't get to me. It never has. It never got to me. I never panicked. I never got emotional. I just never went through those phases of dealing with it. And looking back at that, I think that's kind of that's the exception, not the rule. Most people get life-changing, traumatic news like that. They usually react in a different way. And I don't, pretty much for anything. That's just me. And I know everybody's different. Everybody reacts to life in their own way. And I've never... It never... I know it sunk in. I know, like I said, I understand the gravity of the situation. It's sunk in, but I never panicked. I never flipped out. And to this day, I never have. So... that being said, I went through chemotherapy. I went through the introduction process. If you've ever gone through chemotherapy, I don't even know if the process is the same for everybody, but when most people think of chemotherapy, they think of radiation, but the chemo of the chemotherapy is chemical therapy, chemotherapy. And I didn't even know that when I was first diagnosed. I never thought about it. I always thought, you hear chemotherapy, you think radiation treatment. And I received the chemical treatment, And even that wasn't traumatic to me. It did weaken me quite a bit physically. It took its toll that way. I lost a lot of weight. I was very weak through the process. But even that never really got to me. And this sounds horrible, but I can't remember if I went through chemotherapy for 6 months or 6 weeks. Doesn't seem like 6 months, but it did seem longer than 6 weeks. And I know it was one of those two. But maybe I just don't hang on to those dates and those things like other people might. Some people remember the dates of all their procedures and surgeries and things like that. And other than 1996, 2006, I can't remember when my first 2 surgeries took place. I remember when I was a sophomore in high school, my first bowel resection. I believe I was a sophomore. My second one was shortly after I was married, so 94-ish. Got married in 92, so 94-ish. I think we were fairly newlywed. But even that, I don't remember. It's not a date I circled on my calendar, and it's not an anniversary that I really think about. It's over and done, and for the most part, the surgeries were a non-issue. They helped me. They took care of problems that I had, the intussusceptions, the pain that goes along with that. So it wasn't like I lost a loved one or something like that. It was something that needed to be done. I didn't stress out over any of my surgeries one bit. But I digress. Let's go back to the cancer treatment. The one thing that was toughest on me during the chemotherapy, and I don't even know if this is the right way to describe it, but was the anxiety. And I don't think I've tried to figure out how to describe it a little more accurately, but the physical sensation of not having any control over myself. And sorry, that was the most stressful part about it. I could lay in bed and it felt like I was constantly moving. I could sit in the car seat or wherever, and I had to squeeze so tight and buckle down so hard, and just to get it slightly under control, I had to prop myself in between 2 hard places. Like if I was sitting on the passenger side and my wife was driving, I had to kind of force myself into a spot where it felt like the exterior forces were kind of keeping me under control, even though I wasn't physically moving. It's kind of like when the room is spinning, if you're drunk or something and you feel like the room is spinning, kind of like that, but 100 times worse. That was the single most difficult part about chemotherapy, period. The pin needle sensation in the fingertips, that was a pain in the ass also. That wasn't constant. Can't remember if it was just a short time frame or if it was like a short time frame during the day or whatever. But I couldn't even open a door handle. It hurt so much I couldn't open the door handle like that to get in my own house. But the anxiety, or whatever that sensation was the single most worst thing that I experienced going through chemotherapy. And I'm not getting emotional, I'm just trying not to yawn. I apologize, I picked a bad time to make this video, but I wanted to make it. I wanted to share my experiences. And to other people that have PJS or have gone through cancer treatment, chemotherapy, maybe you can relate, maybe you can put your input down below. And after I started chemotherapy, I thought about maybe I was going to lose my hair. That never happened. Some people that I saw, the kind of treatment I had was, you would make an appointment and go into a room where there was several recliners. They would hook you up to the IV. I actually had a PICC line implanted right here, and I still have the scar. I don't know if you can, yeah, you can't really see, it's a bad angle. Still have the PICC line scar, and if you've had a PICC line, they're kind of a nuisance. They actually put a disc underneath the skin, implanted surgically, and that's where, and they poke a needle, I forget, some kind of attachment where the IV would attach to your chest, through the skin into that disc inside your skin, and they would administer the chemotherapy medication that way. If I remember right, the nurses told me that the drugs were too harsh on the regular veins. They couldn't do a regular IV through like you would normally get if you go to a hospital. They would just destroy the veins. So they put it right into there, and I think it's an artery right into the heart, something like that. It's very close. That was kind of a pain. It felt weird having that bump in there. It was like probably like the size of a quarter, if I remember right, maybe a little bit bigger. And it was maybe the size of maybe 4 quarters stacked on top of each other. So imagine that a quarter size, about four quarters high, maybe 3. It just felt bigger because it was under the skin and it pushed up. So if you've had a PICC line, I'm sure you can relate to that too. That was uncomfortable, but like I said, that anxiety was the worst possible part about chemotherapy that I experienced. It sucked to lose so much weight, but I lost a lot of weight. So it was a plus and a negative at the same time. I was pretty overweight before that, and thankfully after that, all these years later, I haven't really bounced back to where I was that overweight. So it helped me keep the weight off, quote unquote, permanently. And other than that, after the chemotherapy stopped, I don't think I've had any side effects. And like I said, 2006 was my last surgery. Knock on wood. Hopefully it stays like that. I've had colonoscopies where they've had taken or polypectomies and things like that since then, but actual invasive surgery, 2006 was my last one. And fortunately, they since day one, since my first surgery, they've used the same incision access point straight down the center of the stomach, down to the belly button. And so I've only got 1 scar for 4 surgeries, so that's kind of nice. And that's the good part about it. One time they did have to, the first 2 surgeries, I think they went down to the belly button, but didn't go past it. I think the third one, they had to go down and around it a little bit. So the scar tissue really hardened up my belly button area. It's kind of weird. It's not weird. It happens, but I can't really like get the lint out of my belly button anymore. I mean, it's impossible. The scar tissue is pretty rigid in there. But yeah, it does go a little bit below my belly button now. So they've used the same access point for the surgeries, but they've kind of lengthened it over time, if that makes any sense. But that's what I wanted to share today. My cancer diagnosis and my treatment and what affected me and things like that. I don't think it even affected my wife that much. If it did, she kept it pretty much to herself. I think if I would have flipped out or reacted differently, she might have done the same thing, but I didn't, so she didn't really do that either, at least on the surface. She might have been stressing out privately without letting me know. And if she did that, she kept it a pretty good secret because I couldn't really tell that it affected her. And I think my kids were pretty young at the time, so they didn't really digest all that information and think about the consequences and things like that. And knock on wood, I've been cancer-free since then. But I haven't been going for my yearly colonoscopies. Very sporadically. I think I've had maybe 4 since then. 4 in 13 years. That's horrible, I know. It's not very proactive. I understand that. And I've already covered this on another video where I'm not that A-type personality where I I seek treatment constantly in specialists and cures and things like that. For me, it's pretty much out of sight, out of mind. And I know cancer is out of sight, so it's not gonna I won't know about it until it's too late. So I understand that. So me talking about this will help me make that appointment for my next colonoscopy and to see where I stand on that. So maybe that's what I'll talk about next time, the colonoscopies. They're pretty minimally invasive, but it's something you got to do if you have this condition, because hopefully if you have PJS, you won't have to deal with the cancer, even though that's a bonus with this disorder. You get the PJS, and if you're lucky, you get the cancer along with it. And I joke about it quite a bit, and I know other people take it very seriously. There's no sense of humor whatsoever. I get that. So like I said, everybody's different, and but that's how I deal with it. That's what I'm trying to share with other people out there that have this condition or have cancer or whatever. So I think that's where I'll end it today. Just talked about my PJS, my cancer diagnosis, the treatment, things like that. And I think that's about where I'll stop. I'll come up with another video here shortly. So if you have PJS, stay on top of it, because the unknown variable is that cancer. You pretty much know if you have a blockage and it's the susceptions and things like that with the polyps. You pretty much know that. Or if you have like some bleeding or things like that, that'll be a physical sign that you can address. But cancer, you won't know about it unless it's monitored. And this actually might be a wake-up call for me to go back to the doctor and start doing the yearly colonoscopies again. It seems when you get older, time goes so quickly, and it's like, man, is it time for the colonoscopy again? I can't believe it. It seems like it was just yesterday. That's how I was thinking back when I was kind of going to get them. But I think I'm going to make a call to my I don't know, it's not a gastroenterologist. What is he? I forget what his title is. Brain fart. But I'm going to call my doctor and schedule a colonoscopy, because it has been 3 or 4 years. And yeah, that's where I'll end it today. If you have PJS, if you've had cancer, diagnosed with cancer, feel free to leave a comment in the, down below. Some people have reached out to me already, which is cool. I mean, some people that have this condition are seeing these videos, and I just want to let other people know that you're not the only one out there. PJS, not everybody knows somebody that has it. I have it, and 3 people out of 4 in my family have it. So I'm confronted with it every day. So if you have questions, ask me questions also. I'll answer those to the best of my ability, from my own personal experience. But I know I've gone on for a while. It's almost 19 minutes. So I'll let you go. Thanks for watching. I'll be back shortly with another PJS video, if not something else, health related or life related or whatever. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.